So, my very first story takes place in my favorite city in Europe, Vienna. Ah, Vienna. This beautiful city, full of history, of culture, of music, of Sachertorte, and of course, the deep, melancholic charm of the Viennese has always inspired me to travel there over and over again. Well, enter Julian. One of my very, very best friends lives there. And I visited John many, many, many times in Vienna, and I really do love the city. So anyone who knows me knows that I would say I'm a pretty cautious guy. I don't live on the edge, although now that I think of it, that's not entirely true. Anyway, John and I were invited to his lovely neighbor, a really, really funny lady, had prepared something very special. At that point, I wasn't very familiar with weed cookies, or as we call them here in South Africa, dacha cookies or marijuana cookies, whatever you call them. So she had told us that she'd made them and that we were allowed to try. I've been to Vienna many, many times. I absolutely love it. So maybe I was at that point where I wanted to experience Vienna on another level. So we came to her for coffee, and at this point we weren't really ready to have them. You know, we just thought, well, let's just have coffee, chat, and then we'll worry about the marijuana stuff later. Now, neither of us really had any experience with these kind of cookies. All I knew was that when you eat one of those cookies, it takes a while for the effect to kick in. Right. We were sitting in her apartment having coffee. She brought out a plate of cookies. I think they're called Linzer cakes or something. They're basically like, I suppose, you know, these Jolly Jammers Oreo sandwich cookies with the jam inside. Full of butter, delicious. Anyway, so we started having those because they were great. And it's the kind that you can't stop eating, even though you know one probably packs like 5,000 calories. At which point she points out it would be good to maybe slow down. Yeah, we know, we're fat, whatever. She said, no, usually one is enough. And then we realized that the cookies were those cookies. We thought that these were just like really nice cookies that she'd made. So at this point, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do because that shit is in your system. Now, we had this picnic planned in the Burggarten, like in this beautiful park. Best we leave now, make sure we get our groceries, get ready, go to the park, and we'll just kind of sit it out and it'll be fine. So we go to Spa and we start buying a whole bunch of things. Munchies are already slowly starting to kick in. So we buy everything there. And very slowly the giggles are starting to happen as well. We get ready to go to meet his friends. Once we get there, it's over. We are gone. We are sitting on the lawn, paranoid, thinking everyone can see we're completely stoned, laughing, feeling dizzy, feeling really worried, feeling really embarrassed. His friends are supposed to arrive, so my friend John is trying to, with all his might, phone them, but he can't actually work his phone. So it takes about 15 minutes for him to call them, and he tells them, look guys, we're stoned, we're gonna go home now and sleep because this is just ridiculous. So then we try and get up. Yeah. Just remember, we should have shared one cookie. That would have been perfectly fine. We had several. It was too much. We're already thinking the whole world is watching us. We can never show our faces in public again. We get to the robot because on the other side we have to take the tram that takes us home. It turns green. At this point we are so cautious that we're thinking, okay, no, let's wait for the next green and actually make sure we can cross the street in time because this is obviously going to take a while. So we wait and we wait. I don't know for how many greens we actually waited, but eventually we kind of mission over the street. It was quite a broad street. Oh, well, it felt like a broad street anyway. But at some points on this trek across the street, which felt like it was 10 minutes long, I must have yelled out, oh my God, we're crossing the Nile. There were two elderly ladies in front of us who got frights, and then they saw probably at this point very dodgy looking characters behind them, laughing, stumbling, shouting, whatever. So they started to pick up their pace and kind of, get away from us. And I felt really sorry for them because obviously this was a huge misunderstanding. So the best idea, I thought, was to chase after them, to tell them, no, everything is fine. We are fine. Choices. So they escaped from us, lucky them, or maybe lucky us, I don't know. And we get to the tram station and they've got this little time indicator that kind of counts down when the tram is coming. And it felt like down and down and down and up and up and down and down and up and up. So sometimes that happens in Vienna. Sometimes, it will say 1 minute, then it will skip to 5 minutes, and then it will skip to 2 minutes, to 1 minute, and then to 3 minutes. But I'm not entirely sure if we didn't actually just not get into the trams and just waited and waited and waited. So eventually we got onto a tram. We got home, we put on our pajamas, we went straight to bed. Can I just say that this was at like 3:30 p.m. About 15 minutes later, I got up to go to the kitchen because I was starving. And I think John woke up from me chowing on these chips. We had a feast and we were sitting in this dark kitchen, completely stoned out of our heads, eating all of the stuff, all of the chips, all of the chocolates, all of the salamis in whatever order, in complete silence. And then, of course, we started to laugh. Then the laughing happened, and the laughing didn't stop because, of course, everything is hilarical. So the next morning we got up and we were so tired. And we decided, okay, no, let's do something with our day. Let's go to Luxembourg, this really beautiful castle with a huge park. We took the bus there. We strolled around. At some point we were sitting on a bench and there was a black swan just a few meters away from us. And it took us about 15 minutes to agree on whether the swan was real or fake. At some point we'd see it move and then we're like, no, it's not moving. No, it is moving. No, it's not. So I think it was a real swan because I think, if I remember correctly, they do have black swans there. Anyway, at this point, who cares? So at some point we say, okay, now let's just get something to eat. So we leave the garden, we go to this really lovely restaurant, we order some drinks, we order some food. Waiting for our drinks to arrive, John says, oh, I'm actually quite thirsty. I say, oh my gosh, actually there's this kiosk at the bus station. Let's get something to drink. Yeah, we just ordered stuff and we'd forgotten. We each buy like a Coke or something. And then the bus arrives, get on the bus to go home. And on the bus, we're like, hang on, didn't we just sit in a restaurant and order food? Did we have that? No, we did not have that food. In fact, we didn't even have the drinks there. We just left and completely forgot. When I flew back a couple of days later, I feel like I was still a little bit stoned. And we'd had these wonderful plans of exploring Vienna a little bit more. None of that happened. No, we were just high for 3 days. So what did we learn? Don't do drugs, people. Don't do drugs. It just all becomes very serious at some point, doesn't it? And I have to say, there's nothing better than that feeling when you just laugh and everything is funny and everything is light and everything is wonderful. I'm all for experiencing things and trying things out, but that kind of put things into perspective. And one thing that I did realize was, all's very well, but being able to experience things with a clear mind is often way more fun. That was my very first little travel story. There are many more to come, but I decided to start with this one because I just thought it was very, very funny. Maybe you had to be there. The circus of it all. Woo. And that's how you go from wanting to just try something and, be open to becoming a hazard to society. This is ridiculous because all best ideas are born when one is high. It's madness.